and that there was something in space that held the stars up, and the stars were the planets were, of course, the ones that were moving, and they were the messengers. And basically, for Aristotle, you had these various levels up in the sky, and the outer rim of it was the divine being, the reason for everything moving. Because he thought that the outer shell moved, and as that moved, it's the prime mover, the first mover, right? And as it moved, then the next level moved, then the next level moved, and the next, until you get the air moving, and the air moving moves everything to get it started here, right? So that was kind of Aristotle's understanding of the Earth obviously being the center and everything, and the prime mover. What made the prime mover move? It moved. Yeah. Was it God? Is in Aristotle's theology, was it God? Good question. Yes. Ellie.
Didn't Thomas Aquinas say something about that?
Thomas Aquinas was an Aristotelian.
Okay.
So see how we go through history. Plato invents ideas and prose, apparently, in his milieu, right? And his student ends up inventing true statements and facts and the categories, how we can arrange the facts, how the facts are arranged, etc. There were differences obviously between them. We really, it's kind of beautiful. We think of Plato as one pillar of thought, and then Aristotle as the other one. And all of the ones in between are, well, in between, trying to answer the same questions, but kind of, doing an in-between result as they look. There's a terrific book in the library, at least there used to be, it should still be there, called The Sociology of Philosophies. Let's go to the Amazon site, and you can look inside, and let me see if I can look for I'm all the way at 9:15. Well, I guess diagram wasn't a good choice. Let's try most of them are hidden. Shoot. Let's see if I can just click on this. Well, you have to look at it. Sometimes the right page will come up for me so I can show it to you, but basically Randall Collins goes through the different time periods, finds all the different philosophers and how they were interconnected with one another, and draws you a nice chart with different kinds of lines. These two were antithetical to one another, these two supported one another, these were followers of so on and so on. So they've got Socrates and Plato and Aristotle, and by the way, it's a worldwide philosophy collection, so you can see who influenced Master Kung and the Buddha, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're curious, just run over to the library, check it out, or just take it off the shelf, leave it somewhere, and just look at the various charts and see how it works. Kind of cool. But if you think of Plato and Aristotle as the two pillars, and all the other philosophies are somewhere in the middle, that still seems to be a great way of picturing the relationships still today. And I would say that the truth generally ended up somewhere in the middle between them. Because Plato is clearly right about a lot of things. Like mathematics, where does it come from? Remember the issue of, are we inventing it or discovering it? It seems to be inherent in the nature of the universe. There is something particular about bilateral symmetry that all living things seem especially appreciative of, right? So that's kind of significant. Where does that come from? On the other hand, it certainly seems that Aristotle is right about a lot of things as well. So it seems like it has to be somewhere in the middle between them. And it's kind of interesting if you think of it as kind of a Socratic dialectic. What seems to happen during each period is that you have people taking different sides and going back and forth. Various individuals during that historical period being the more famous ones, like Aquinas, for example. And we will cover Aquinas, of course, once we get to that point. So I'm trying to develop a narrative here. There is a narrative. I'm trying to establish there's significant events that result in an evolution of our thinking. It changes our neck top, the kind of programs we can run, and when Charles Murray talks about the crisis of, wow, how do you get people educated enough that they're prepared for the kind of technological life that we're going to need to live? I mean, in order to live kind of a normal life, right? And not do dumb things, like when someone emails you and says, please send me your information so that I can, make sure that you're safe. And meanwhile, of course, they're planning on just removing every dollar you have. You've got to be wise enough and or at least defended enough by some other members of the family to keep you from sending them all that information, right? Because you're dead if you do, right? Sorry if this is a confusing approach to things. But let me get back to raising a good child. Because when Aristotle is talking about the nature of the good is what all things aim at. But you've got lots of different kinds of goods. So Plato can't be right about saying that everything comes from the good and that the good is essentially the top of the mountain or the sun or any metaphor that means just one particular thing that kind of sets everything else. I mean, there's all kinds of neat ways of looking at that stuff. It's kind of impressive. But we use the word good in lots of different ways. What's a good book? What's a good book this week? For who? Right? What's on the New York Times bestseller list? What's the New York Times? Right? I mean, you have all kinds of issues like that. But what kind of goods are there? And so he does feel like there are facts. And he is a follower of Plato. So if you remember, Plato gave us that sloppy triangle that I made, right? Where you've got the bottom folks. Uh-oh. Erase. But, so if we go back to that triangle, still a magic marker that doesn't work. Funny how that works. Is there a trash can? No trash? If you go back to Plato's triangle, can you see that at all?
Yeah, what?
Pardon?
Oh, it's just a good triangle, and then you continue with a perfect straight line.
I didn't draw a triangle?
No, they were complimenting it. They said it was good.
It's a good triangle.
It's a straight line.
Very
Thank you.
straight line.
Thank you. I should draw a horse.
They were impressed.
Wait till you see this. This should be funny. I don't know if my camera will catch it or not because it's so far over here. But, so, I mean, this is both Plato and Aristotle, more Aristotle than Plato. So if I draw,
That's beautiful.
Oh, you see one?
it's the love you do, so you call it. You know, yeah.
I see it now.
There we go.
I like it.
It would be
So-
a good seahorse.
Is this a horse?
Yeah, it's
No.
It kind of looks like a horse.
It's not a horse. You've never seen a real horse? Real horses have like bones and they say, nay. That's how they do. This is a picture of a horse. So it's not a real horse.
Oh, it's like that. Is this a pipe?
Yes,
Yeah.
actually, yes, that was a very Aristotelian, this is not a pipe, because it's a picture of a pipe. Right? And this is not really a horse, it's a picture of a horse. And by the way, Aristotle points out that the word horse is not a horse either. It's just the word for horse. So you gotta be careful, right? You're not thinking, well, wait a minute, this horse is not an animal. Obviously, it's false that all horses are animals because this is some horse that is not an animal. And you think, well, and that's contradicting you. No, Aristotle points out, this is not a horse, it's a picture of a horse.
Okay, so what is a real triangle? Because people draw outlines, you know what I mean, and then create a little shape or like to an earring or like you know what I'm
There is
saying?
no
Like,
such thing,
triangle.
actually,
So what's the
right? The real triangle are any three-sided figure.
So that is the triangle.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
It's so good to have a math major in class because I'm so behind.
Any three-sided figures which all angles
Ah,
are add up to 180 degrees.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, I was very sloppy. That's actually been true all along, right?
So if you're
It's
saying
not a new
it's
thing.
three sides and it adds up to 180 degrees. Did you say it? Yeah. Okay, so if that's it, why is that not a real triangle?
Because
Because it's a picture of a triangle.
it's a picture.
It's a drawing.
It's a picture of a
Okay, so
triangle.
if I'm looking at myself on my phone, that's not me.
No, it's a picture of you.
Well, obviously.
So
Oh,
you can't look at yourself, you can only look at a reflection of yourself?
what about
Like in a mirror.
Right, and
That's
you
fine.
yourself are a process that's constantly changing. So yeah, that's, let me show you a marvelous picture for that. It helps if you remember it, right? It's not the self. I am a strange loop. There it is. I knew somebody would help me. Thank you. Oh, but that's not going to give me the cover. I want the cover. Let's go back. Say, what is that? I am a strange loop. Okay. So do you see this picture here? This is an old book. Oh, and that's not going to give me the whole picture. Shoot. But what this was him back when he got his first camera, video camera, and he could hook it up to the TV screen and have it feed back what the camera was showing. And then he had the camera on his hand, and then the camera displayed this odd looking picture. And then they took a picture of that picture and made it the cover of the book. I Am a Strange Loop. For Douglas Hofstadter, what kind of self are you? You're constantly thinking of yourself as a self. I'm thinking of myself as a self. So you're looking at yourself in the reflection in the mirror. Whoa, but that's already not yourself. You see how that goes, right? This is contemporary stuff. Remember Thomas Metzinger, being no one. You know, if you think of yourself as an object, no, that doesn't really adequately express the whole complexity of what it means to be a human being. That's